Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Expert Speak Session 8 from Art of Living Corporate Program. Today's topic is tapping the right nerve. We have with us Dr. Spandan Reddy, who is associated with Shri Shri Tattva in an advisory capability, and she is an expert in osteopathy, craniosacral therapy, marma, and Meru Chikitsa. Thousands of lives have benefited by her healing touch over the last 15 years. She is also a master faculty for these alternative therapies and is mentoring dozens of budding therapists. She is also professor of osteopathy at Sri Sri University and Sri Sri School of Yoga. Spandan loves this space of unraveling the marvelous mysteries of the body and its unique intelligence. In conversation with Spandan is Pavan Taila, Chief Financial Officer of Publicis Sapient India, and has over 25 years of leadership, administration, board management, finance, and entrepreneurial experience with companies like Publicis Sapient, Fidelity, Pernod Ricard, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and more. He's also a volunteer faculty of the Art of Living program and is a very sought after corporate facilitator. Over to you, Pavan.
Thank you, Vaishali. Namaskar, everybody. My name is Pavan, as Vaishali said, and I belong to all of you. These are very unusual times, and more so for us as leaders. And there are a number of talks how leaders can manage through these uncertain times, and they're perhaps all very good. But this one is unique. And you know why? As this talks about how leaders can leverage something which is present within us, which is called the vagus nerve, and then strengthen our leadership skills, and that too sitting back at home. What do you say? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And who best than Dr. Spandan Reddy to really unravel the mystery? So welcome, Dr. Spandan. Really a pleasure to have you at the show.
Thank you.
So let me just first talk about a little bit of the structure of the session. So what we'll do is we have some pre-received questions. We're going to start with that. And then we will request Dr. Spandan to really give us some experience through the tools and techniques of how we can really manage and utilize these techniques. And then we will open the house to questions. So we encourage all of you to please post your questions either on the YouTube channel if you're attending through YouTube, or through Zoom in the Q&A box down below. With that, Dr. Spandan, quite curious name, Vegas. Does it have anything to do with gambling? And what really does it signify?
Yeah. Vegas is short for vagabond. So vagus is one of the longest nerves in the body, and there are two different set of nerves. There are a bunch of nerves that exit directly from the brain and then travel to the body, and these are about 12 pairs, and the vagus is the only one that crosses beyond the shoulder. It goes below the shoulder. In fact, it travels all the way to the gut. And then there are the other group of nerves that emerge from the spine. So you have the brain that leads to the spinal cord. So vagus is very unique in its nature, in the way that it kind of is the only nerve that very directly connects the brain all the way down to the gut. So yeah, so that's why it's called the vagus, because it's vagabond. It's literally everywhere. Like anatomists, when they were studying the travel of the vagus, they found it in the neck, they found it in the voice box, they found it around the heart, they found it through the breathing muscle, they even found it down into the gut. They were like, hello. that is why it was named vagus.
Wow, that's so interesting. So, this vagus nerve is so important. But then how do we as leaders, sort of relate it to our well-being, and our sustenance? Because our leadership sustenance is really dependent on our well-being. So how does it sort of relate to that?
Yeah. So, even though we have evolved as a species, our brain still exists in two principal formats. One is the jungle mode and one is the evolved mode. Most of the time, subconsciously, it is the jungle mode that is going on, which means that people are constantly, subconsciously fending for themselves. So our lives are literally governed by threat and safety. The situation that we are in now at this moment spells threat for a lot of people. But those who are able to consciously switch from this jungle form of the brain into the evolved form of the brain have moved into a space of safety where they're able to give comfort to people around them. So the principal core link between a sense of well-being, prosperity, contentment to a sense of foreboding and not being sure about the predictability of the situation is vagus. So there are a lot of scientific studies that have been done that talks about how you can actually make friends with your vagus.
Yeah. And
How
that's
you
what, I was about to get into that aspect to say, really, as leaders right now, I'm dealing with a lot of uncertain situations. And really, anxiety creeps in. So how does really, this Vegas help me in that management of that anxiety? And how does it relate to it actually?
Yeah. So the older form of the nervous system that I was telling you about deals with two principal responses. One is the fight flight, and the second is rest and digest. It's also called the friend and befriend mode.
Yeah.
So if I take you back to the mode, imagine you are a gazelle grazing in the forest, and there is a breeze and you sense the presence of a tiger.
Yeah.
Now the first response to it is pricking your ears up and becoming very, very aware about it. And an immediate reaction as the tiger pounces, there are two reactions. One is you run away and get out of the situation. Second is you freeze and you have no idea what to do. But the evolved form of vagus in our body today at this point of time actually has the capacity to pull you back out of the situation into a witness consciousness, where you're able to look at the situation from an outsider's perspective and reach a very tangible solution. So right now is what we are looking at this point of time is a direct example of that.
Yeah.
So when you activate the vagus, it is able to override this response of fight, flight, freeze, allow the evolved part of the brain, which is more in the frontal part of your head, help it to take over, step out of the situation and find a way to survive.
Wow.
So if people can be taught, or they can be given a few tips on how to so imagine how amazing it will be if you can consciously do it. If you can choose to tune into your vagus, then excellence becomes a choice.
Absolutely. And it
And
is so
excellence is not accident. Yeah.
Yeah, and such a wonderful thought, that how we can get into that mind space. And if you really look at today's environment, leadership sort of is involving so many complex decision making. I mean, we've got competing priorities as leaders. I mean, on one side we've got the organizational priorities, on the other side we've got employees' interest, and then we've got customer interest and the supplier interest, and we are constantly making these micro and macro decisions, and they're all quite challenging. And you're right, at times we get so engrossed in these decisions that we seldom come out and are able to see things from a distance. So really, say a little more on how Vegas sort of relates to this and how we can really understand this better.
Okay, so let's take the jungle situation into a real life situation. Okay, so a lot of people work, right? And they work in a workplace where they deal with a lot of people. There are always certain people who make life a little challenging.
Yeah.
There are a few people who make achieving goals a little difficult. Now, consider that you've shifted your work, or you think you have come out of that situation that has been very challenging, and suddenly one fine day when you feel everything is fine, you suddenly come face to face with the person who made things very difficult for you. Instinctively, the first response would be to run away from there and to get away as soon as possible. The second would be confrontation. Because for the deer who tries to run, there are two options. Either it will get away and survive, or it will get caught. If it gets caught, it's going to fight, hoping it can get away, or it will freeze, hoping that the predator will go away, thinking that it is dead meat, doesn't want to eat it. For us in a real life situation, when we are faced with a challenge, especially when it has been kind of a preconditioned response, getting away from the situation or confronting the situation may not be the best solution at that point of time. A best solution would be to be able to come back to your center, to settle yourself, to assess the situation and not react, but to respond.
Yeah.
So It's when you look at people who've been in high positions in their work, or who basically, you know, what we call end quote, been through the ups and downs of life, have somehow found that hack where
Wow.
now where a situation challenges them and scares them, they have found the ability to befriend it.
Agreed.
And that is subconsciously stepping into the Vegas.
Wow.
So one of the most powerful ways to do that is with the breath.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. And I just, there is a follow-up thing that you said, some people can, some people can't. But before that, let me just tell everybody, we are joined by people from across the world today. So welcome everybody. And we encourage you to please, put your questions in down on either on the YouTube, if you're joining on YouTube, or on the Zoom Q&A box. Also, we encourage you to go to the Zoom to the YouTube channel of Art of Living Corporate Programs and subscribe to that for any future such programs. So thank you very much for that. Coming back to your question, to what you were saying, Dr. Spandan, um, you know, a lot of times I see that there are some leaders who have that natural flow, right? Every intention that they have, people just join in and they just tag along, and their intentions start to get manifest. And then on the other hand, there are some leaders who are struggling, right? And even with us, sometimes it happens either way. So either we are in that flow. So how does this flow thing, and it's also a buzzword these days, I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I start get, how does that relate? And is that something to do with Vegas now?
Yes, psychometabolically, today the flow state has been connected to the vagus. So the job of the vagus is to help a person feel safe. Okay, so you would notice that when a person is stressed, or when they're trying to confront or run away from a situation, there is no time to have food. There is no time to rest. There is no time to um, think about other people, because you're so worried about taking care of your own self. So people classically who've been in a state of subconscious subliminal liminal stress for a period of time have altered digestion, altered sleep sequences, which leads to irritability and lower performance in work.
Agreed.
Now, if the vagus is activated, the first thing it does, it gives a sense of warmth, safety, and being taken care of for the person.
Mm.
And once that steps into it, into the situation, then no challenge seems very big.
Yeah.
Now the flow state is where you feel you are in tune with the activity you are doing to an extent that you are in a zone of absolute witness consciousness, and you're experiencing awareness and ecstasy at the same time.
Wow.
This is what has been spoken about it until now. There are a lot of people who've been researching flow state. What they found was this flow state is a state of the nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is guided and ruled by the vagus nerve. And the
Wow.
moment a person is able to do that, there's a sense of safety. Now, if you look at it at real time work on a day-to-day basis, one of the things to do is to love your work.
Mm.
If you love
Right.
your work and you love what you're doing,
The passion is very
automatically,
important. I
yes.
agree.
So
Yeah.
you come into a space of wanting to be a better version of yourself all the time.
Right.
Second is having good social communication and relationship with people and situations. That is
Correct.
also Vegas. Vegas talks about social engagement. How are you able to constructively collate and correlate with people around you? And there are now proven techniques that can be used as hacks to be able to go into this state of consciousness where you are very cooperative, you're very empathetic, you're a great team leader, you're allowing other people to grow along with you. So all of these are functions of the Vegas, and
Yeah.
it can
So,
make a huge
so I
change.
think, yeah. So I want to go to the techniques, but before that, we are all intellectual people, and unless and until our intellect is satisfied, we don't move an inch as leaders, right? So we want some empirical evidence. So, is there some research which can really, substantiate what you're talking about? I mean, is there some science which can really relate the emotions and the Vegas and all that kind of stuff?
um Today Vegas is like the hottest selling bun in neuroscience. If neuroscience is a 4-year-old kid, Vegas is the new party frock. It's like people are going up and down doing, and there is so much evidence that has come, and the work continues to be done.
Yeah.
There are the founder of the social engagement protocol, Dr. Stephen Porges. He's a psychologist. He has about 200 citations to his credit. Then there are universities, and there's this professor in the University of Stanford, Dasher Keltner, who has created the Science of Greater Good Center, where he talks about where they've done so much research on the vagus, and they reached a conclusion that the vagus is actually the nerve of love.
Wow.
Vagus is actually the nerve of kindness.
Oh.
And children who, there are some people who express the vagal tendencies right from childhood. So the children who break up fights in the playground, stand up to bullies, go and make friends first with new kids in the school, are called vagal superstars.
Oh.
And these are children who have empathy built into their genetics, or they've been able to express it better. There's this whole lot of research that has been done on flow state. There are a lot of neuroscientists like Dr. Robert Schleip in Germany. There are many people. Basically, there are people who are coming in from all aspects. There are trauma experts like Dr. Peter Levine, who has done so much research on the vagus, where they found that something as complicated as post-traumatic stress disorder, or people who've been suffering with stress for a long time, have have bounced back to optimum health just by activating the vagus nerve. So right now, at this point of time, there are more than 300 citations published in medical journals, which talk about how important vagus is for survival of humanity as a species by itself.
Wow. Wow. This is amazing. This is
Yeah.
amazing. So let me just shift gears a little bit. Some of us actually, to relax in the evening after a heavy day, just go and take a little bit of alcohol, a drink maybe, just to maybe, comfort ourselves and relax. Is Vegas somewhere helpful in doing the same type of relaxation without sort of the side effects of any of these intoxicants?
Intoxicants don't really activate the vagus. Intoxicants are basically reducing the volume of the whole nervous system by itself.
Oh,
it's like saying the TV is too loud, let's just reduce the volume.
yeah.
You're not necessarily perceiving any information, you're not necessarily offering any value. But when you're working specifically techniques that help you activate the vagus, you are this is a very nice thing, and I think it makes a lot of sense for the corporate sector also. We start off our lives in jobs by being a brain person. You look at myself, me, my work, my salary. Am I okay? Does my boss like me? I don't care about other people. And ethics is not necessarily the aim here. But as people start climbing up the ladder, and their performance depends on the performance of the people working with them, and vice versa,
Correct.
they are pushed into roles where they have to look out for people who are working with them. And that is when you're moving from being a brain person to a gut person. Essentially, you're scrubbing clean the pathway between the brain and the gut.
Wow.
So the chemicals that the brain produces are goal oriented. They are in expectation of joy. It's like how I say, it's like buying an iPhone. You bought it, now you want the next model and the next and the next. But when you move into the gut and you start becoming a team player, your body starts principally producing a different set of hormones that are responsible for whole body well-being: serotonin, oxytocin. And once this happens, you start looking at the whole team working together as a family. So these concepts that we have of Vasudev Kutumbakam, the whole world is my family, or Sangachatvam, we move together towards a greater goal where I do well, but I also help you to do well. And I focus on the contribution I can make to make my workplace a better place, is the Vegas. And the best thing is, once you have become a gut person, you have changed forever.
Wow, that's the superb thing. So basically what you're saying is we've got this road going from our nervous system, from the head to the gut, which is actually a road. We want to make it a super highway, right? Is that, wow, that's super. And the moment we do that, we become a gut person and the flow starts happening. Wow,
and
fantastic.
you're one of the best leaders who were ever created.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's such a powerful thing. So we have a question. We have a question from Mukesh Kumar. He says, Mahesh Kumar, sorry, my apologies. He says, I'm suffering from chronic spondylosis from last 30 years in my left shoulder. Some swelling remains in my left side of my back. And then can it be helped? I'm 50.
Yeah, it can be helped. I mean, we are talking about vagus at this point of time. So I will need a little more information than the amount of time you had this, as in what has been. I will need a detailed case history. So when in osteopathy and craniosacral work, we take his case history, we look at the significant biological events in a person's life, basically events that challenge the person into a sense of overwhelm.
Yeah.
So overwhelm is where a situation is a little too much, and it doesn't have to be a big event. Overwhelm could be a maid who doesn't come on time, could be a boss who questions you too much, could be a colleague who keeps talking bad about you, and there is a tendency for these things to grow and show up as a disease. So there is a very strong connection between the body and the mind. So
it's a psychosomatic kind of
yeah,
stuff.
so the goal of work would be to take the person back to safety. So can I help? Can he be helped with spondylitis? Yes, but I will need more information then.
Agreed. And let me thank you very much, Dr. Spandan. And let me remind everybody, I think it's a great platform where we can ask questions which are more sort of beneficial to general, because we don't know, and doctor doesn't know your personal situation and background, so it will be very tough for her to give you any specific recommendation. But if you have some general questions, please keep pouring in. As I said, once more, let me repeat, keep putting your questions on the Q&A box on the Zoom down below, or in YouTube channel if you're joining from YouTube. Also, go to the YouTube and subscribe to Art of Living Corporate Programs for any future programs like this. We'll be happy to take you and have you join us. Dr. Spandan, I think now our intellect is relatively sort of comforted. So we are sort of ready now to really experience some tools and techniques that you may have for us.
Okay, sure. So we've been talking a lot. So let's just we can start off with using the special senses that we have. So one of the voice, sounds are one of the most important inputs to the nervous system. So creating a sound of your own can really help the nervous system to calm down. So there's this very beautiful pranayam called Brahmari. Brahmari is making the sound of a bumblebee. Okay. And the beauty of this sound is it emanates from the back of the throat. That is exactly where the evolved branch of the vagus travels. It travels through the voice box. Mm-hmm. So when a person is stressed, they can't talk, they can't communicate. It feels like there's a wall of glass between them and the world. So when you do Brahmari pranayam, it really helps you to calm down the nervous system in a way that you can modulate the tone of your voice.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, making the road into a super highway. I just go back to that example. Super. Let's experience something. Yeah.
Okay. So we're taking both our index fingers, and we're just closing the entry door to the ear. It's called tragus.
I hope everybody, all our esteemed audience, let's do it along with Dr. Spandan and experience what she has us.
So I'm going to. For a few seconds. So we'll do this twice and that's it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So take a deep breath in. Another deep breath in. One more time, breathe in. Just a few deep breaths. You can relax your hands. You may experience a sense of expansion. Just another deep breath, and then you can slowly open your eyes if you had closed them, or you can smile.
Wow, this is great, And ladies and gentlemen, if you want, you can, put your experiences in the chat box or the Q&A box, both on YouTube as well as on the Zoom. It was fantastic, doctor. Just the simple thing immediately calmed the flood of thoughts, and I think the whole system. I could observe the vibrations going all through my trachea. Actually, just amazing.
So that's why music is a very important part of all cultures.
Yeah.
And when you sing, you get hungry.
Yeah.
Hunger is a sign of safety.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Any other technique that you want us to go, sort of experience?
There's another technique that we can do. This can be done with eyes open. Now, for us as human beings, the first evidence of safety is your body. My body is what defines me, and my body is what separates me from the rest of the world. This is my safe cocoon. So orienting back to your body. When there is a challenging situation or a stressful situation, there is a tendency to switch off from people are said to have a sense of numbness that comes to them. So what we will do now is we will come to body awareness. This is a technique used in neuroscience studies, and what we're basically doing is take your attention to any area of stiffness in your body. It could be the tip of your nose.
Do we do it with open eyes or closed eyes?
Yes, you do it with open eyes.
Open eyes.
Do it with open eyes, and you just be comfortable. So take your attention to any place of stiffness in your body at this point of time, and just feel it, objectify it. So can you give it 3 words? Can you give it a texture? Can you give it a shape? Can you give it a color? Make it as visible as possible for your brain to feel. Once you've done that, take your attention to a place of health in your body. Where are you feeling good right now? It could be the warmth in your stomach. It could be the beating of your heart. It could be the sensation of the floor under your feet. So take your attention to a place of health or where you feel happy at this point of time. Objectify that. Give that a color, shape, texture. Go crazy with your imagination. It's fine. Stay there for a while. Like really feel it, own it. It's your body. Yes. And now go back to the area of stiffness and tell me, how is it now?
It's better, actually. Yeah. Surprising, huh? Wow.
Yes. This is called titration. Titration is another concept where the inherent nature of the body is health.
Yeah.
Like our inherent nature is to be happy.
Correct.
But just like we as human beings have a tendency to focus on the problem all the time, similarly, the brain has a tendency to focus on areas of stiffness and give pain there. If you consciously take your awareness to a place where you're feeling good, and if you can't feel it in your physical body, go to a memory, go to an event, whoever makes you feel nice. And then when you go back to the area of stiffness, it would have dissolved. So what you're doing is you're remapping the brain.
Wow.
Yes.
One more interesting thing that I observed when you were asking us to do this activity, that actually more areas of comfort than areas of trouble. There are perhaps 1 or 2 areas of trouble only, but the mind is sticking to that, but not on the comfort areas, which are so many of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's amazing, isn't it? So see, that is the thing that we need to move towards today. We are so worried about the pain that may come, the anxiety that may come, that to protect ourselves from it, we pop in pills.
I agree. Yeah.
All that you need to do is go back to feeling your body and move towards doing things that make you feel safe, finding that me time, and you will find a drastic change.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now that's wonderful. Let me just take a few questions that have come. So Juhi is asking, hi, I have acute acid reflux, but feel all positive emotional symptoms of a vagus that you mentioned, like warmth, safety, etc. What does it say about the health of my vagus nerve?
I will need more information than that. See, I'll give you an example. I mean, you could be having it because of a structural issue, but I'll also tell you this: the need to have food is a sense of safety. When you feel happy, that's what festivals are all about. When you're happy, you feel like eating food. But there are also diseases called anorexia and bulimia.
Yeah.
Where you eat food following a false sense of safety. So
Yeah.
there is a measurement, there is a way to find out. Now in your case, you're saying you're feeling fine. I'm sure you do. Maybe it's just a structural thing. I don't know. Like I said, I'll need to know a little more than that.
A little more. I think specific issues I can understand, but in general, does acid reflux? Is that a symptom that can be cured with attention on vagus or techniques for activating vagus?
See, when there is increased stress in the body, there is increased production of acid. In Ayurveda, it is called pitta. So what happens when you're stressed? You're not eating on time.
Correct.
And you're not giving your body enough time to digest. Therefore, you are not able to absorb food. So the
Ah,
body wants more fuel to substitute for the nourishment that is missing, producing more acid. And
ah,
when it is more than what the bag of your stomach can hold, it refluxes back. There is a rebound into the food pipe. So that's an acid reflux. The most common reason for that is stress, but there are also many other reasons.
yeah.
So there are also structural issues. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to name
So
them.
so in general, you're saying that, it does have a relationship with mental well-being. And does meditation play into all this? Like you're saying, stress and everything?
Absolutely. It does, because one of the most beautiful things meditation does is takes you in a state of flow where
Yeah.
you're relaxed and alert at the same time. Meditation helps the nervous system to calm down, to come to its center, and it allows the body to take a time out
Wow.
and to orient back to a state of health. So the
Fantastic.
titration exercise that we did of moving from areas of stiffness to moving to areas of health, that being done with awareness is meditation.
Wow. Wow.
So it has been found that people who, and again, there are thousands of citations on this fact, that people who have been meditating for an X period of time as a part of their daily routine have shown 400% increase in efficiency.
Oh my God.
So there are educational institutions, there are companies that make it mandatory for their employees to meditate. Who wouldn't want a more
Yeah,
efficient?
I mean, I would. I'm a
Yeah,
finance person. I would want my efficiency up. Absolutely.
yeah.
No, no, no question. It's a great business case, actually.
So meditation is like the switch.
Yeah.
You just choose to go into genius mode, you choose to go into an excellent mode, and then
Wow.
you can carry that state of mind all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very
Fantastic.
smart thing to do.
Actually, brings me to a point, like, Art of Living corporate program actually offers a load of customized and specific programs for mental well-being that are available for all the corporates. So I would just recommend, if you want your employers, or if you are the leader and you would like, in your company, these programs to be run, please connect with us. We'll be happy to help you with the same. It's a fantastic thing. And also, our Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji is also running online meditations twice a day these days. So if you've not been doing them, we recommend 12 o'clock in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the social media channels. These meditations are live, available for you. Yeah. So with that, let me take a few more questions. Somebody was asking actually on the chat box just now, saying, I missed the first part of the session. So, I think this whole section is going to be available on YouTube, the Art of Living Corporate Programs channel. So subscribe to that, and you will find that the recording of this will be available, so you can watch it later on. Remember to subscribe the Art of Living Corporate Program channel on YouTube also, please. So somebody's asking, what are the other techniques that we can be using to activate vagus nerve? And that brings me to another point. I mean, sometimes, doctor, we have to go to a important meeting, or do an important presentation, or do a public appearance, and there are these butterflies in the stomach. Is it got anything to do with vagus? And if it is, then what are those small techniques, without anybody knowing, I can do to manage the situation?
So the butterflies in the stomach is actually the activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight flight response.
Yeah.
We are like, oh my God, is it going to be all right? I also had butterflies in my stomach before this session even then. So that's an activation of the sympathetic nervous system. But once you begin, and the encode term, when you have established a connection with the person you're talking to, is when the vagus has come into place. So can you do a few things? Yes, you can. One of the easiest things would be feel the floor under your feet.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have your feet on the floor at this point of time, or you're sitting on any surface, just kick off your shoes and just feel the floor under your feet. And imagine one of those scans that are happening in your body. So what we're doing is we are just orienting to the outline of the body.
Wow. So just closing the eyes and just taking
Yeah.
our attention from
Yes.
feet up.
So we are starting from a tangible point, which is the floor on which your feet are staying. Or if you're sitting on a chair, just feeling the seat of the chair under your buttocks and really feeling your body sink into it. And then very slowly becoming aware of the outline of your body. So the fingers, toes, shoulders, parts of your body may feel bigger, smaller, parts of your body may feel invisible. Don't worry about it. Just keep breathing. Just orient to the outline of your body. Nice and easy. That's it. And now slowly open your eyes.
Wow. Well, these are really magical techniques, doctor, because, as I was doing this, I could feel that there were a lot of areas which were unknowingly stressed out or stiff. My muscles were stiff. And I was walking, I was scanning through, as you said, they actually started relaxing. And, suddenly that state of, relaxation automatically came. Wow, these are fantastic tools. And these are great nuggets. So keep them coming. These are very, very helpful.
There's
Yeah.
another technique that you can do, which
Yeah,
is
sure.
basically breathing, which is breathing. So
Yeah.
you could probably just sit on your chair and just keep a hand on your chest and keep a hand on your stomach. And take a deep breath
Ladies
in.
and gentlemen, I'm hoping you're experiencing all this. These are some fantastic nuggets that Dr. Spandan is telling us. So just make sure you're experiencing it right away so that you can go back and also do it when needed. Yeah, doctor, please.
So one hand on the stomach, one hand on the chest. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. You will find that one raises more than the other. Maybe the chest fills up more than the stomach, or the stomach fills up more than the chest. See if you can fill them up equally. So breathe in. And very slowly breathe out. Now the next step is see if the amount of breathing in is equal to the amount of breathing out. So breathe in, nice and gentle and slow. Stay for a second and then slowly breathe out. Again, breathe in. Fill up both your stomach and chest. Let both the hands raise. Hold a breath and slowly breathe out. You can slowly let go. And you can slowly open your eyes.
Yeah. Well, it works, it works. Yeah.
So breathing in is like receiving and breathing out is giving. So as much as we receive, are we also giving back that much? So when you're breathing in more than you're breathing out, you're charging your nervous system more than relaxing it. But when you hit that balance of in and out, you're taking in as much as you're giving out. So you're basically helping the body to regulate itself. This is a direct pathway to the vagus.
Yeah, so that's fantastic actually. And so I think so what you're saying is that the breath has a fantastic connection with vagus. So say a little more because there's I know Art of Living programs offer fantastic and very powerful breathing technique called Sudarshan Kriya. So say a little more on what is this connection in vagus and breath.
So the vagus, as it drops out of the head, it runs through the throat, around the heart, and through this really big muscle that separates the chest and the abdomen. It's called the diaphragm. And from there, it drops into the gut. So as you regulate your rate of breathing, you're regulating the activity of the vagus. So vagus is responsible for slowing down the body and making it more aware. So you're moving into a relaxed and alert state. So as you are moving your diaphragm equally, you're opening your chest as much as you're opening the stomach. So what this is doing is it is slowing down your heart rate. So those butterflies in the stomach settle down. The gut opens up, so it is releasing a lot of feel good hormones, a lot of serotonin, oxytocin, all of that going into the system. There is a very comfortable sense of warmth and comfort of the body, and that's it. You're feeling safe.
Wow, what a powerful thing breath is. And we don't even bother, we're breathing like at least 10,000 liters of breath every day, air every day. We don't even bother about it, right? Fantastic. Such a powerful tool available with all of us.
Yes. So breathing. So when anybody is going to do a presentation, so I'm in an office, I'm going to do a presentation. There are two things that are taught. in any workshop. One is deep breath, second is source voice. So what you're doing is you're helping the vagus to express.
Wow.
And that is what is needed. When you take deep breaths and you use your source voice, you connect with people in a way that you've never connected before. And that is where amazing relationships, both professionally and personally, are made.
So as you're saying relationship, is that something to do with creativity also? Because, a lot of, in leadership, when we are challenged with tough situations, we got to find some innovative solutions, right? So, how does sort of creativity link into this?
Yeah, because the expression of the vagus is associated with comfort and safety. Creativity is a great way to do that, because what it does, it brings the contribution part of every person to the forefront. So when you're doing team building activities, when you're doing creative workshops, the person is not really worried about what am I going to get out of this. What they're focusing on is how can I contribute more.
Yeah.
And that creates a forefront and a great platform to go ahead from there and move together. So Vegas then becomes a very important aspect of bonding between people, helping each other out and empathizing with each other. Empathy quotient today is a very big thing in the corporate world,
Agreed.
because empaths are the ones who are helping people from behind the stage without making themselves known. And imagine if every person in your team is like that, what an amazing workplace it would be.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Now, let me just go back to some questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep posting your questions, and also go to the YouTube, subscribe the Art of Living Corporate program channel, so that you can be party to more such interesting discussions. So let me go back to the question from Venkat. Venkat says, does working on shifts in corporate affect Vegas? Because a lot of companies today, the BPO, the IT sector, they're working sort of odd shifts. So how does that sort of affect Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, the body has a circadian rhythm. There is a whole set of systems in the body. There is the pineal gland. So there is a time when the body is supposed to rest, and there's a time when it is supposed to be active. But when you help the nervous system to regulate at a deeper level, so for people who meditate, who find time for their hobbies, and who find time for themselves, really don't get affected so much by these shifts.
Okay.
So a lot of times working in odd hours of work is decided by us. If somebody asks me to get up in the morning at 2 o'clock and come and help them, at the back of my mind, I believe that this is wrong. I should be resting at this point of time.
Yeah.
But what if you are in a state where you're relaxed and alert all the time, but there is a little bit of work you need to do to reach there? And the easiest and the best way to do that is to meditate. You can't sing all the time.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing body awareness all the time.
Yeah.
But when you bring in practices that take you into deeper states of consciousness, that is more than the state of consciousness you are. Like at this point of time, the state of consciousness we are in is alpha. You are alert, not necessarily relaxed. There is another state called beta, where you're sleepy, you're not really interested. A lot of people may be in that state also at this point of time. But the genius state of mind is the delta state, where you're relaxed and alert at the same time.
Wow.
And to get into this state is through practices, is through sustained committed effort, which it's essentially a choice you make. And once you make that choice of being in those practices, you have shifted from a brain to gut.
Yeah.
So then when you're feeling safe all the time, it's actually all right.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So that's wonderful. Now I take another question from Deepthi, who's basically saying, how do we make a person who's completely stressed out about importance of vagus nerve, and why does one need to do Sudarshan Kriya? So I think there's a connection between Sudarshan Kriya and vagus. She's trying to understand.
I can very easily answer this by saying there is so much evidence that has been done only on Sudarshan Kriya.
Yeah.
And how it has helped people activate their vagus and move to higher levels of efficiency. Why should they do Sudarshan Kriya? Because it works. It works. I mean, Sudarshan Kriya is something that I prescribe to my patients on a daily basis. When you have something that is so easy, connects with your breath and helps you to move into a state of genius and high efficiency by choice, isn't that a smart option to?
Absolutely. No question.
So that's where this is where I make a very clear statement that today it's not a matter of royalty, or it's not a matter
There's no
of
choice. It's not a choice
it's
anymore.
your responsibility to meditate.
Agreed. Agreed.
I mean, right now, I'll give you a real life situation. We are in lockdown. I'm staying with my parents in Belgaum. We've been here for 5 weeks. And well, I'm an individual, they are individuals. We have our own ways of living our lives. So there is bound to be friction, right? Now, because I meditate, I'm able to catch myself before I react and say something hurtful.
Agreed.
And because they are meditating with Guruji every day, morning and evening, they are able to accommodate me more.
Agreed.
There is love. There is always love. We are made out of love.
Yeah.
It's the expression that goes wrong.
The ability of letting go. Yeah.
How about keeping the stick in your hand, and
Correct.
how you being in control of the situation rather than the situation
And
controlling?
that's where Sudarshan Kriya helps.
Absolutely.
And no, I completely agree. I've been practicing it also. It's immensely helpful. And, there are a lot of corporate programs available from the Art of Living, to help with that. And those programs have Sudarshan Kriya as a curriculum. Let me just go to another question. Says, does vagus nerve help diabetic patients also?
Well, my parents have diabetes and their sugars have been amazingly in control. I'm not saying they've stopped their medication, but their spikes of increase, the hyper and the hypoglycemic things have completely changed, simply because they're able to maintain a routine and a lifestyle that is beyond emotions. It's not like I don't feel like eating food now. They have very beautifully brought it into their discipline, where they're comfortably making the choice to meditate. So when they meditate, their emotions aren't affecting them so much as they used to before, which means their life is not ruled by emotions anymore. So in my personal experience, I have seen people who, even though they are diabetic, haven't really gone on increasing their medication, and they have shown a very nice stable sugar level throughout the day.
Okay. So if not reduce, at least stability can.
Can it cure? I don't know. I haven't done long-term studies. I am yet to see any research on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let me, very interesting question Samir Kumar has asked. How can we activate vagus nerve, or more particularly, how can we strengthen it? So I think where he's going is that, all the techniques that you mentioned, what things that we can do like on spot to comfort ourselves, etc. But in long term, how do we ensure that, this highway always remains like a super highway, and not that like not a spot work we have to do.
Meditate.
Okay. Yeah.
Meditate. That is the easiest thing to do. Meditate.
Okay.
When you meditate, you have more time in your life. You have more time for yourself. You have more time for hobbies.
Yeah.
And when you have a great state of mind, you have better relationships in life.
No, absolutely. And let me remind everybody again, I mean, Shri Ravi Shankarji Gurudev is taking twice a day, especially in this tough time when we are all locked in the room. And Dr. Spandan is saying, we all love each other, but when 4 or 5 people are locked in a room for like 1 month, we know what happens, right? So, how can we make ourselves more ready for letting go? There are twice a day, Gurudev comes and takes meditation. They're all free of cost, half an hour, just 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 7:30 in the evening. Please go to YouTube channel or Facebook or Insta and just attend, or you can actually download Art of Living app, where also you can look for these online meditations. Let me go to another question. Dheeraj Diwan is asking, does listening to particular music activate vagus?
So music that is relaxing. So instrumental is very nice. As a part of our culture in our country, listening to hollow instruments, flute, veena, was very beautiful. And you just need to understand this. We are a combination of the body and the mind. So anything that suits the mind suits the body, and anything that suits the body will also suit the mind. They both are required to be equally strong and efficient. So if you're looking at specific music that helps you to calm down, flute and veena has been proven. In fact, that is the music that is recommended for pregnant mothers.
Wow.
Because children, babies inside the womb, can hear outside sounds. There is a reason they are asked to wear bangles made out of glass. There is a reason workplaces, hospitals, clinics have specific music playing in the background, because it has an effect on your nervous system. A great way to really calm yourself would be to chant,
Okay.
would be to have those deep intonations activate the vagus. When you say anything like sa, it's activating the vagus.
So
But
even
if you're
singing,
looking at, yeah,
listening and singing. Okay.
yes. So singing is great. But
Mm.
if you're looking at external, any instrumental would be lovely. Veena, flute would be very nice. Light mridangam is also nice.
It's so interesting that you say that because last 1 week, Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji has been every day actually relating our chakras to different instruments and how each of these instruments are activating different energy centers in our bodies. That's so beautiful. Fantastic.
Chakras in the body anatomically are plexuses of nerves. So our scientists were so smart. They were sages, so they just made it very easy for people to understand that there are chakras. But later, thousands of years later, when anatomists arrived and they started cutting open bodies and seeing inside, they found that massive nerve junctions of nerves are placed exactly where the chakras are. And
Oh,
every junction is specifically responsive to a certain vibrational frequency.
all right.
Yeah. So yes, what Guruji has been saying about chakras and music makes a lot of sense. It has to be experienced. No, it just has to be
Yes.
experienced.
Yeah. No, I agree because I've been doing these meditations, and every now he started with different chakras, and then there's different instruments playing, and you can actually feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Let me take another question. Amit Maheshwari says, how to deal with the colleagues in office who are always feeling insecure and stressed and creating more stress around them? Though you are calm, but not able to sustain that state for a long time because of these people. So again, how does it relate to Vegas and that, how can we make super highway of Vegas and deal with this situation? Does it help?
The first thing you do is take care of yourself. So you meditate. And when you settle yourself and you are in a space of safety, that is the vibe you send out. Have you seen mothers in the house when there is a fight, they just calm down?
Yeah.
And everybody gravitates towards them for comfort and love and safety. Even when I have a fight with my mother, I still gravitate to her for comfort and safety. That is the power of the Vegas. It takes care, it sends out a vibe of security and comfort. So when you settle and you are establishing yourself and you are a vagal person, you are a vagal superstar,
Mm.
people will realize that small petty things don't matter to you anymore. And as you grow and you are still contributing to their lives, eventually humans are smart enough to understand what is good for them.
Wow.
We've
Wow.
had so many instances where people have moved from challenges to victories, where people who criticized them eventually joined hands and they started meditating together.
Wow. Wow. I'm conscious of time. We just have 4 minutes left. Let me take a couple of more questions. Somebody unnamed has basically asked how to relax stiffening of neck, shoulder, and lower back after a long meeting or office work. Does it have anything to do with the? Is it just craniosacral thing, or is it to do with the vagus?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. When you are pushing your body more than it needs to, then it is important that you take breaks in between. And again, doing body awareness exercises, short meditations in between is a great way to orient yourself back to health. People who meditate can work for hours and hours. Gandhiji used to say, "Today I have more work, I will meditate more." So the more you breathe, the more you allow your body to go into deep rest, the more efficient you become. So your tension and muscles is essentially an expression of overwhelm in the nervous system.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Maybe last question, just conscious of time, maybe a couple of more questions. Dheeraj Diwan is asking which particular herds of music um, to make child hear as he does not want to meditate and he's 14-year-old. So, do we want to just give children, small children, how can we help activate their nerve by making them listen to a particular type of music?
Introduce them to classical music.
Okay.
Hindustani classical music, Carnatic classical music. Our culture is so beautiful and so rich. In fact, any culture in the world, any authentic cultural music is good.
Fantastic.
So that's it. That's all is needed. In fact, as a part of the South Indian traditions, it is important to initiate the child into a fine art. And that is what it does. So don't worry about the herds, as long as it's not electric, as long as it is something that you're playing yourself and you are expressing yourself, it should be fine. That is why children are started off with chants. First you teach a child to chant. So the vowels, the consonants, the vocals, then other instruments come in.
Fantastic. One more interesting question has come, Srinivasu is asking, any food which impacts vagus nerve? So how is our eating sort of related to vagus?
Yeah, when you're relaxed and you are comfortable, you will eat food that is freshly cooked and which is not spicy.
Okay.
I have noticed this. When I get angry, I want to eat chips and samosas.
Okay.
That is a so when you are feeling comfortable, you're going to eat nutritious food. So at this point of time, what kind of food you eat, please eat home cooked food. Okay, food with nourishment, freshly cooked, made at home, made with love. That's it. Vegetarian, very important. Eat food that is excreted from the body in 12 to 14 hours. Don't eat food that is going to sit there and putrefy and keep producing more acid and more pitta. It'll change your nature. We are not the food we eat, we are the food we absorb. And if your food is not moving quick enough through your gut, you can't absorb it.
I agree.
So vegetarian diet, mildly spiced, traditional local food, your homemade food would be great.
Fantastic. With that, we almost come to the end. Dr. Spandan, I must tell you that there's some fabulous positive reviews or comments that everybody is posting. I know people can't really talk right now to you directly, but they're posting some absolutely wonderful comments about all the way you've unraveled the mystery behind this Vegas and how it is so relevant for us becoming more effective leaders, especially, the techniques, the small nuggets and the techniques that you've really taught us and experienced. They're just fantastic. So thank you very much for that. And I also want to thank the lovely audience for the wonderful participation, and looking forward to more such interesting opportunities for interaction. If you want to attend these sessions more as we go forward, just go on YouTube. There is a subscribe button to Art of Living Corporate Programs channel. Just go and click that subscribe. And also don't forget to attend meditation with Gurudev twice a day. He's doing it 12 o'clock in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening. And if your company wants to have corporate programs, there's a banner right there. We are offering special online flagship corporate programs that can be structured for your particular company and the needs of the company, which are all around leadership, change management, holistic well-being, which is so important. So there are the numbers which are provided here and the email address. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are always there to help and support. Thank you very much, Dr. Spandan. Really appreciate for all your time.
There's just one thing I want to finish
Yeah,
with.
sure.
Leadership is not different. A good leader is not different from being a good human being. So the moment you move towards being a better version of yourself and a better person, you're automatically becoming a good leader. So it's just a matter of this and they both working together.
Fantastic parting words. Thank you, Doctor. Namaskar. Namaskar, everybody. Really pleasure to have you all here.